Hi friends, I hope you're well this day. This morning I was reading a poem by our friend Padre Gotuma, and he used a phrase in that poem that I had never seen before. It was sacramental eyes. He talked about seeing through sacramental eyes. That phrase really caught me, and I thought, what does that mean? You know, a sacrament, in our tradition, there are only two sacraments, baptism and Holy Communion. A sacrament is a ritual that we do, something we do repeatedly, where we know God shows up. In theological language, a sacrament is a visible sign of an invisible grace. I always think of it as, of all the things we do and all the kind of happenstance places where God sometimes shows up in our lives and we're conscious of it, a sacrament is a place where we know God appears in this. So when we do communion, for example, we know that this is a ritual where the presence of God comes to us because Jesus told us, this is where you will find me. This is how I want you to remember me. So sacramental eyes suggests to me this seeing in a way that incorporates the presence of God into whatever it is we're viewing with our eyes. And somehow that presence of God changes the way we see things. So sacramental eyes as, I think, as the way of seeing the world in a way that changes the way those things look once they enter our eyes. I think that was really important to Jesus. I think that's why there were so many of Jesus's healing stories that were about blindness, because how you see really changes so much of how you are in the world. It seems like a really important concept for right now, because so much of what we see in the world seems sad or bad or even full of despair. I think when we look around the world right now, it's difficult to see signs of hope. But is it possible, I wonder, for me to look at the world so that in my eyes something sacramental, something that brings the presence of God into that outside thing happens and makes my view of those things something holy? So I'm going to practice looking at the world through sacramental eyes, bringing in my vision the presence of holiness into whatever it is I see. That feels really important these days. I think about this especially with some news that I heard yesterday, and maybe you heard it too, about a report that there are 545 children of immigrants who were detained separately from their parents a couple of years ago when all that was happening at the border, at our southern border, and children and parents were being separated. And now it's reported that 545 children have been identified by our government people who are working on repairing this wrong, and their parents cannot be located. They don't know whether their parents are still in this country or they've been sent back to their country of origin. Those children are alone. That just feels so heartbreaking to me. If I think about it and look at that situation, though, with sacramental eyes, maybe I can find hope. The possibility that God will be in that situation with wanting wholeness for those children even more than I do, than we do. That God wants reconciliation and reunion for them. That those children have parents who are caring for them, and that maybe there's a way for those children to find their way home to their families who love them. Maybe there's, if not, then maybe there's a way for those children's lives to be caught and renewed and redeemed by we who care. And maybe that's what it means to think and to look with sacramental eyes. So that feels like a new practice I want to take on as I look at the world, and especially at what's happening in the news. I hope you'll join me in that. Take good care. I hope you'll stay well, and I'll see you on Sunday.